Shiro Kimani is a finance professional with over 18 years of experience in the financial services sector. She is the former Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Alliance Insurance Company Limited, a composite insurance company dealing with life insurance and pension, general and healthcare insurance. Prior to this, she was the Group Finance Manager leading the Britam Group Finance function. She was also the head of finance for Sanlam Life Insurance Company, Kenya Limited. She has a vast experience in a range of areas: development of technological solutions, stakeholder management, strategy, revenue generation, financial planning and forecasting, balance sheet restructuring, funding, risk management, internal controls management, investment and treasury management, financial reporting, and business intelligence. She holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics and master's degree in business administration, MBA, specializing in finance from the University of Nairobi. She is a certified public accountant of Kenya and registered member of the ISBRC. And now, let us put our hands together in welcoming the much sought after financial consultant and business expert, Shiro Kimani. Administration, MBA, specializing in finance from the University of Nairobi. She is a certified public accountant of Kenya and registered member of the ISBRC. And now, let us put our hands together in welcoming the much.
Let's be all upstanding. With a standing ovation, let's welcome Madam Givva Kimani.
Shiro Kimani.
Let's give him a better welcome. Let's give him a better welcome.
Shiro Kimani is a finance professional.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Malaki. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord again. I have heard that introduction and I'm scared. What it has not said is that I am a mother of 2 boys. One is 20 and the other one is 16. I said about the 20 and the 16, just in case there's somebody who wants to kunikosea heshima. So I'm really, really honored to be here today to talk about money. And I want to say that today I'm the CEO and founder of Givva Wealth Tech. And Givva Wealth Tech was created to cater for money matters of the lower income earners. My passion is to educate people about money. I really, really love training people about money. What they said after saying about all the finance degrees is that I'm also a literature student. So napenda story. And a lot of my trainings are actually not in English, they're in Kikuyu and Kiswahili. So leo I'll struggle, but nitajaribu hii Kizungu. So I love telling stories about money because money, every time people come to talk about money, it leaves us scared, isn't it? Money is a very scary topic. And to start with, I want to talk about, so Givva was created to bring money closer to us, the investment products to us. So I'll tell you slightly about Givva, then we go into, Paul, if you can show the other one. And Givva is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority as an intermediary platform service provider. So the speakers who have spoken have spoken about 5,000, how you can put 5,000, you can get a place to put 10,000. They even said $1 million, which is nice. But in Givva, what we do is give someone a platform to put in 100 bob a day, 20 bob a day. That is why we are a platform that goes to every ordinary person so that you're able to save what you have. Because I have learned through my own personal experience that money, you don't have to eat to have 100,000. You don't have to eat to have 5,000 shillings. You can actually just start with 20 bob. And the reason I love teaching about money is because I learned about money as I worked in those many places. But I also, through my own personal experience, learned that it's not the waiting until I have 100,000. Because 100,000 is a lot to have. Okay? But if I kept away the 100 bob I have today, I put it in an investment place. Then tomorrow I find I don't have it, okay. Then the other day I have 500, I put it away. Then at the end of the year, I'll find I have some 30,000 shillings. And that is what we as Givva go to the communities about. And as you can see, Givva, our target, we are a community management platform. And Givva comes from the word cheerful giver. And we manage all types of communities because we want to go. The other part that has been excluded by the investment world is our communities. Our communities are not, and our communities are our family groups, our welfare groups, our women chamas. What do we end up having? We end up just putting money in somebody's maybe M-Pesa, or we put it in the bank account, and then at the end of the year, after we've contributed 10,000 shillings, if we are lucky, we'll find 9,000 because of the charges and everything, isn't it? Or something like that happens. So Givva, again, we came in, and we want to give our communities a place they can put money. What is it that we do in our communities? That is what happens. We have a WhatsApp group, isn't it? And then there we meet in to talk. We chat in there. And then after that, we need to raise money. Maybe we are raising money for we've lost a loved one, we have something, a wedding. So what we do is we choose a treasurer. And then we start sending the treasurer the money, okay? Then we give that treasurer a very big job. When they have not updated a list on WhatsApp, you call. I've even been called when I'm in the boardroom to be told, you have not updated my name. So we give that treasurer a very big job of updating a list to show that we have contributed. And if it is that contribution that we do on a monthly basis, then that treasurer has to have an Excel worksheet. And I know we are all leaders of communities, isn't it? You find yourself spending a whole afternoon doing what? Trying to reconcile. So that now you can be able to give your group a place, the records. This is how we have contributed. And then that time, then we also give that treasurer a very difficult time of deciding where will they put the money. So sometimes they put it under the mattress. Sometimes you leave it in your M-Pesa account. And then when you go home and you find your children have been sent away from home, what happens? You will decide, even if the event is next Friday, let me pay for my child's school first, because I can't even afford to have this child being seen by neighbors. Ati yako hapa tu kwa mtaa. Si afadhali nimlipie? I pay then. By next Friday, I will have gotten the money. And that is when we go and kneel down and we tell God, God, you know, I have used 50,000 shillings for the chama. And now that you know me since before I was born, isn't it? That is when we start saying that prayer, telling God that He knows us before we were born. And Friday comes and we don't have the money. And so our chamas, what happens? We end up fighting. We are always fighting. Go to the next slide, okay? Because we lack a nice place that we can keep good our money. We don't have a place that we can do that. And so that's why Givva, we came in, so that we give you that platform. That's a one-stop shop. There is no money in M-Pesa for that one, because what happens is, even when we come to church, we have the pay bill for the church, we have a place to put the money, but then we have the male enigma, then we have the women fellowship, then we have a cell group, and each one of those ones have a treasurer. And even in that group, when you have a treasurer for keeping our subscriptions, then there's another treasurer because we have to go for this baby shower, so we choose another treasurer. And then when we are going on, then there's a wedding, we choose another treasurer. So the whole group of 10 people, we are all treasurers. And that is why Givva was born, to give us a one-stop shop for community management. So very quickly to finish, so what is our value proposition? Is what do we see the future for these communities, whether it's your family group, whether it's your neighborhood community, and we are fighting and our money is getting lost. And someone told me the mortality rate of our groups is very high. So what do we promise you is that when you get on to Givva platform, you'll be able to finish your projects. What project do you have? And I'll tell you how we are going to finish our project, okay? So we'll help this community complete its project. Number two, because now we'll be able to say, in this community of JCC, how much money have we contributed for the funerals that we have done, for the weddings, for the project itself? We'll be able to tell, this is where we've put our money. Is it the right place to put our money? Or would we have pushed some of the risks that we are getting into? We could, tungepatiana, we buy a funeral cover so that every time we lose someone, the insurance pays instead of us. So now we are able to start making decisions. The next thing is we're able to include our youth, isn't it? Our youth now, they can come in and they can start contributing because youth don't have a lot of money. But if we allow them a place where they can put a little money, then they are able to be accommodated. The next thing is we're able to bring in everybody in our community. Those are my people, the mama mbogas and all that caliber. Because if we say that it's 1,000, it becomes very hard. It's not everybody in our community who can give us 1,000 today. There's somebody who wants to say, me, I'll be paying 20 bob every day. But can I be sending Penina 20 bob, Shiro 20 bob every day? It will be very, very tiring. But in the platform, she can be able to send that, and within a month, she has finished her 1,000 shillings. So we are able to include everybody in our communities. And our communities are even our families. Are we at the same level in our families? No. So when we talk about contributing, there's that brother who says, oh, we need 20,000. He puts 20,000 there. Then there's another brother who needs a whole year to get to 20,000. That's what the application gives us. And then in our churches, we have a lot of backbenchers. We are able to unveil them because the only way we are going to finish our project is everybody is able to contribute, including our backbenchers. We give them away to unveil them. And then we can manage our subgroups inside of the application. So it's actually a community management platform where we are able to do that. And finally, we can invest that money. That is why we are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority, so that this money we are contributing for this group is actually going into a money market fund. When you put it in Givva, it's going there and it's growing, okay? So it is growing every day. So instead of keeping the money somewhere where it's not growing, it's growing every day. And what do we have? We are also able to manage our risks, communal risks, together in the platform. And finally, our community leaders can have more time with their families instead of doing clerical work. They can be able to spend. If you are a leader, you find yourself doing a lot of clerical work. So we are able to give you that. And finally, what do we have? A thriving community and very happy clergy. How do we do that? We give you a community management platform. And in it, we'll be able to create for you a governance structure where we'll have the leaders, we'll have the subgroups, the subgroup leaders, and the members. And then secondly, we'll give you a way to communicate inside the application so that you don't have to do it on Facebook or on another, many different places that we do it. So we are able to do it inside the platform. We are able to help you with all your fund collection events. So the money that is being raised by the male enigma is not mixing up with the money that is being collected for the female, for the women fellowship. So we are able to give all those different baskets, and you can say, for this basket, let's invest it. Able to do your database management. So that's what we do in Givva. And I won't talk about Givva anymore. I want us now to go into what we came to learn today. I just wanted to tell you, that's what we give. We also have products for individuals, but I'll talk about those ones as we go along. We are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. We have database and all that. Our board is there, so Givva is a big company. We were licensed last year, and that's what we are doing. So currently, we are automating the Archdiocese of Nairobi, the Catholic Church, and so I think that's it. So let's go into creating a portfolio. Today we've learned many things about money market funds. We've learned about Bitcoin and blockchain. But now, sasa hapa ndio inaanza kukua maneno mzuri. Hiyo ilikuwa kizungu mingi sana. So the question is, and it was asked in a verse we read in the Bible, the widow and the olive oil. And that story, I want to give it, and we all know it, isn't it? But I want us to just recap on it a bit, the widow and the olive oil. And we see a widow. We start with a road that the widow walks. And the widow, her husband dies, and the widow is left with her 2 boys. And the creditors come to the widow and ask her that they are going to take away her boys because her husband owed money. And she's very scared. And, I have an attachment to this story because I have 2 boys. And so the creditors say, we are going to take away your boys so that we can pay your... And so the first question that the prophet asks her is, how may I help you? Okay? So God is asking us, so how may I help you? And she doesn't know how she's going to be helped. The next question he asks is, what do you have in your house? I want you to note, what do you have in your house? Because it's a question that keeps coming up over and over again in the Bible. You remember Moses was asked what? What are you holding in your hand? Okay? So today, by the time we go home, we'll have answered that question. What do you have in your house? What are you holding in your hand? And she's told, after she says she only has a bottle of olive oil, she's told, go to your neighbors and tell them to give you jugs. And then she asked, then what will I do with the jugs? And she was told, you'll go and empty your your oil into the jars. And then when she finished, this is a part of the story that really surprises me, but then I have to take into account the time, the context, because, it's almost obvious that after you have jugs of wine, what will you do? You will do something with them. You can't go back to the prophet and ask him, so what do I do now? It sounds a bit interesting to the modern woman, isn't it? But then she goes and she's told, this is, go and sell the excess. And the story ends very, very well, isn't it? By the time it's finished out, it has a happy ending, isn't it? See, we are all happy. We are all very happy. But I like revisiting this story and asking it today. Supposing that story was to happen, and you are told, go to your neighbors. The question is, how many of us talk to our neighbors? The first thing some of us here would say, but my neighbors, wangu ni wachawi. Oh, watu wanashinda wakituroga hapo, And so, that is what, so I want to see the different parts playing here, okay? That she had to have been a good relationship with her neighbors, isn't it? If she did not have a good relationship with her neighbors, and then there's also the other lazy one, who will say it's very, very tiring. And will only come back with 2 jugs, isn't it? You think about your work today and what you're doing. You are complaining about your boss. You're complaining about, I keep on thinking, had I been told, go and look for jugs, the first question I would have asked the prophet is, how long are you going to be in town? So that I know, do I have enough time to get to Nyeri, to my relatives, and get all their jugs? And I would not sleep, because I would just be carrying jugs from ferrying them. But how many of us would bring 2 and say these ones are enough? Then there's another one who utameto with your sons and say, unajua huyo kijana mmoja ni mlevi. Isn't it? So we are always having reasons, but her happy ending really depended on what she had to do, isn't it? Her family was intact, her neighbors she was in a good relationship with her neighbors. And that is what a community is about. When I talked about communities, we are talking about communities. That our wealth, when we started here, we were told about giving. Our wealth comes from our communities. Because if she did not have neighbors, she wouldn't have had. But that's good enough. Let's look at our portfolios, because we keep on, we've been told about money markets, we've been told we have pieces of land. Somebody else is talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and somebody else. But we have to decide, where are we now, today? I want, when we start this, we are discussing and saying, where are we today? So what do I have in my house? What do you have in your house? And that place that you have is point A. And we are going today, by the time we leave here, God will help us to have even known that point A, how it looks like. So point A is today. And we'll see what we have today in our houses. And then we want to go to point B, okay? Where do you want to be? That is now where. And I forgot to tell you, the prophet said something also that was very important. He told her, do not ask for just a few. That one we can never forget. Now, our point B is, so today we are here. Where do we want to be? You decide. Is it 10 years' time? I want to show you how to create a portfolio. Where do you want to be in point B? Who has actually told God that in 10 years, God, I want to, today, number one, a lot of us don't know where we are today. If I asked, what is your portfolio today? Not portfolio of cryptocurrency, the way you've spoken, but actually everything that you own. Very few of us would answer. But we are going to do that exercise before we finish. We are actually going to say how much we are worth today. So let's say, so today, you find out I'm at 100,000. Everything I own is worth 100,000. But then, as you pray, do you tell God, I want to be at 10 million by the time I retire? Or I want to have 50 million? Or do you actually say a figure, or do you say, I want 100 million? And you see, a lot of us, when I say, you actually have to put a figure to it and say, in 5 years' time, Lord, I want to be worth 100 million or 1 billion. But what do we do when we are told to do that? You look at all the limiting factors in your environment. Somebody is wondering, is Shiro out of her mind? Because me, I only earn 50,000 shillings a month. How can I even talk about 100 million? But let me ask you, because there are people who are worth 100 million in this room or even out there, do they have 3 eyes or 4 legs? So what? That means we are all qualified. But the first thing that you do, if you ask God to, every time you are kneeling down, you are praying and telling God, me God, if you only have VITs, mimi nipatie tu VITs. God can never give you a V8 because he will be bothering you. He will be bothering you. He will give you a VITs. So you have to actually tell him, give me a V8 or that other Range Rover that you want. But my friends, when you tell God that and you have a job earning 50,000 shillings, the first thing he will do is get you fired. So you also have to be ready for, because he'll know, now this route can't lead us to a V8. This 50,000 can't even fuel it. But what I'm saying is that it's okay, but you actually have to say it. So that point B is the one I'm talking about, because we limit ourselves when we are doing our financial plans. What we are doing to now is our financial plan. Okay? So what have you told God you want? You see, I do a simple calculation and say, I am this age now. Women don't say their age. But in 10 years, God, I want to be worth 100 million, because at 100 million, at 10%, even when the interest rates are not doing very well, it means my monthly income will be 10%, will be up 10 million. 10 million divided by 12, I'm almost at $1 million a month, isn't it? $1 million a month isn't bad. And I could just be going June, July, when it is cold in Nairobi, naenda huko Mombasa nazindikisha 2 tide, si ndio? Nikirudi, alafu 10 million inaingia wapi? Kwa mfuko, si ndio? So what figure have you told God? What is it that you've told God? Please, so I want the message of this slide is, do not limit yourself. Do not limit God. Because God, in his granaries, he has a lot. But what are we doing? Even when you are in a place where you say, I cannot live here, I would rather kill this man who is about to kill me, because we are having an eighth in Kamulu and I am not living it. You get? Yet you fail to see what God can give you out there. And it's a lot. So, first of all, let's put a figure to it. Because if we don't have a figure, we are not going anywhere. So, but as I said, as you do that, it will guide our decisions tomorrow. So we can't tell God that we want 100 million in 10 years or in the next 20 years. And then tomorrow, uko bado kwa blanketi at midday. Haiwezekani, si ndio? But I said, as you ask, be ready to take the tests that come with it. But let's not limit ourselves. So what happens is, go to the next slide. What happens is that when we create a good portfolio, we are able to manage the fluctuations in our income. Please just take it ahead. What happens with our incomes? You earn that 100,000. Let's just use 100,000 a month. Okay? It's not a bad income. You can survive, isn't it? But then now things come that we are always going up and down. You know, like you pay school fees and everybody, you find Thika Road has no vehicles after we've paid school fees. Because our incomes have gone down. There is a death, there is a sickness in our families. And then when there is bonus, everybody is busy. Now we go up. Yes. So a good portfolio helps you manage the fluctuations. Okay? When you create a good portfolio of assets, we'll go to there. It helps you create this volatility. Okay? Because at least now, as your school fees is being paid, if you have an investment, what does it do? You can get some investment income, isn't it? It cushions you. And when I stand here and I talk about portfolio, making your portfolio, it's so that we are not, what do we do today? We sit here and wait. And we know Malaki is the chairman of the Male Enigma. And so, when he says, alisikia Narok, watu wanatengeneza pesa huko na ngano. And all of us, we all go to Narok to try and plant wheat. And we have never seen wheat. Hata hujaiona. But because now there is that, now the Male Enigma, all of it is following him to go to plant wheat. Na tumeona tu ngano, tukitengeneza chapo. Now, I want you to, you've never seen it growing, even if you came across it, you would think it is grass with something. So I want us to be able to actually, just go back a bit, Paul. I want us to be able to say, me as Penina or me as Shiro, what kind of a portfolio am I going to create? I'm not going to follow Malaki because his children have finished school. So his cash flow needs are lower. But mine, I really need to pay school fees. So my assets need to be cash-generating assets. He can go and buy land. But me, I need cash-generating assets. So I'll put my money in a money market fund. Are we together? So you stop following people. We are not going now saving money to go and buy land in Kamulu because chama ya wamama na tumesikia shamba zinauzwa. Now I want you to know how to make the appropriate portfolio for yourself. It has nothing to do with your chama. Because right now we are waiting to hear which story is being spoken about. Buroti maguta, you know, those kind of things. Now, we want to create a portfolio that will help us be able, when it is low, they lift us up. When it is high, we chop off the corners and put them in investment. Sio ukipatiwa bonus, hiyo ndio unaenda sasa Dubai, unaenda wapi, and it's okay. I'm not against going for a holiday, but you have to do it in a wise way. It has to be in your financial plan, okay? But when you have a lot, it's what you invest so that it comes and seals the downfall, because it is coming. Life is about ups and downs. So we want to create a portfolio that will help us. And why that happens? Because when we don't have money, even when you have an income of $1 million a month, and you don't have money, you lack dignity. That's why we have to talk about money, because we lack dignity. Ladies, have you ever gone for a date? A man has invited you for a date to one of the 5 stars, na umeenda hapo wewe unajua huyu mtu akitoroka. Akinitoroka hapa. So you want to follow him even to the gents like this, and you stand outside and ask, can he come out through the windows? Isn't it? So the minute somebody invites me for a date at Kempinski, I look for some 10,000 shillings. And if I can't afford to have tea on that one, then I won't go. Wewe niite hapa tu karibu hapa nini, tukunywe soup, pale bypass. Wachana na hiyo maneno ya? Because you will lack dignity. So when you sit there feeling very fidgety, you lack dignity, isn't it? So money makes us lack dignity. When we don't have money, we lack. Have you gone to the village? When a rich man walks from there and comes here, you can tell? Can we not tell he's a rich man? And when we go to the village for a funeral, kuna jamaa wanakuanga pale nyuma ya choo. Wako kwa matanga, hata wanasikiza pastor anasema nini, lakini wamesimama chini ya choo, nyuma ya choo huko, wameangalia huko. Do you find rich men there? Money gives us dignity, but more than anything else, it helps us achieve our purpose. If today I did not have fuel for Makai, would I have come? I wouldn't. So it helps us achieve our purpose when we don't have money. And that is why we'll create a portfolio from today that will help us be able not to be lacking dignity. Okay? Because it's one thing, providing is why we go. But when we don't have money, we lack dignity. So, the target, Paul put in the graph, the target of this is that we smoothen up, okay? Our income, even as we are moving from point A to point B, okay? As we are moving from point A to point B, it's a smoother journey. There are no days unasema mimi leo natembea na rim. Sindio? Si unajua, you know that saying? Anatembea na rim. Juana ako pale tu, anaangalia fuliza balance, anasema, hapa, you know, it's there. So we want to create that kind of a portfolio. Go to the next one. And this is how we create that kind of a portfolio. Every journey of making money and making wealth starts with active income. When we leave school, and at whatever point you live, we all live at different places, isn't it? There are some who went up to the university. There are some who went up to college. There are some even at Form 4 who left. We leave school at different points in our lives, isn't it? But the only thing you leave school with is yourself and maybe something in your head and a diploma, holding a diploma, isn't it? So the only thing you can do is go and start working. And it doesn't matter which kind of work. We respect any kind of work. Even that one for Mama Mboga is work. But it means active income. And active income is because you have to work with your body and your mind, and you have to be on the road every day, isn't it? Doing something. You're either going to your job every day. That's what we call active income. Ni kibanda, it's a shop, it's a, you know, whatever you're doing, that is active income. But if the money we are making from active income, the only way we are going to, because again, with active income, there are a lot of ups and downs. So we have to save to start building a nest, okay? So from that income I'm getting, 100,000 a month, can I put away 10%? Okay? Because if I never put away anything, I will be having fluctuations all my life. Okay? The only way is I put something aside. And you know, when I talk to Kenyans, even the ones in business, they are saying, but instead of keeping these 10,000 shillings, why don't I put it back into my business? Because you want to diversify. Okay? You're saying, yeah, I have my shop here. I have with this business I'm doing. I've stocked it. It's at maximum. I also need to create somewhere I can put in some passive income. Okay? But you can't do that unless you're passive income. The thing about passive income, you have to have a very big portfolio, a very big asset. You see, even the person with a flat, there is somebody who has built a mabati house, okay? Amegawanyisha mara mbili, anakondisha 3,000 shillings, isn't it? So that's 6,000 shillings. But then there's somebody else, that's rental income, and it's good. It's 6,000 shillings a month, eh? But then the person who wants to raise a flat, like the flat I've come across, they need 100 million. Then now, they are making up a rental income of 1 million plus. So what am I saying? I'm saying when you're making an investment, your level of income comes from your level of investment. So it has to be high, isn't it? So that comes from saving. Then after we've saved, we have to create an efficient portfolio. Sasa tumesave, tumenunua nini na hiyo pesa? Tumefanyia nini? And that is why we were being taught about Bitcoin. And we were being taught about money market funds. Are we together? Because what are we doing with those savings? That is so key. And I'll tell you about financial services, because this I learned from working in the financial services sector. I was in Britain working with, and as a finance person, and then all those other companies. But what you do in those companies, I'll tell you, because this is what I learned, is that what they, after we have sent our financial advisors out and they have brought back the money, the premiums, what we do is manage the money coming in so that there is not a shilling that is asleep. Okay? Every day as an accountant, my key performance indicator was, what did the money that was brought, we call it the balance sheet. How much did it earn? Okay? How much did it earn? So today in Kenya, we are very good in taking loans and buying land. And then the land, iko Kamulu kule, next to the river. Okay? Umelalisha pesa. Okay? What you've done, you know, in biashara they know about kulalisha pesa when stock is lying. But again, we are also doing a lot of that. We are tunalalishanga pesa, because is that asset working for you? Because the only way you're going to create a portfolio that is creating for you some income is that hauna pesa imelala. But sisi tunalalishanga pesa. Niko na kashamba huko Isinya, ka 8th. Huko kwa Masai, na nilichukulia kalon. Alafu niko na kengine. Huko Joska, somewhere near the dam. Kengine kamelalisha pesa. And I'm not saying you sell. I'm saying, what can you do with that property for it to earn you income? Instead of keeping it idle there, can I rent it out to somebody who is doing a car wash? So that wananipatia pesa every month. And if it is not in a place business can be done, can I sell it and put money in a government bond? But we are at an age where we can't afford, the banks don't buy land. Have you seen a balance sheet of a bank with land? And they are the biggest profit-making institutions, because not a shilling of theirs sleeps under the mattress. We put money there, and they make it earn for them. So the thing that I teach people is, if your portfolio is sleeping, you will never get to our 100 million, because you can't make to our 100 million on your 2 feet, because you have to sleep. You see, passive income, active income is limited in terms of you can only be on the road so many hours in a day. But passive income is making money where you are asleep. So that 100 shillings that you put in Givva is working for you. Okay? That 100 shillings you put in the money market fund is working for you. It's not sleeping. That money, So that portfolio, so for us to move from here to our there, we have to have passive income. But when we decide that our passive income, and you see now, because in Kenya we don't know that, we think the only way we are going to make passive income is from conning others and stealing from others and, looking for that land that has been lying idle and trying to steal it, because we never think about how to make money without actually having been on the road. So I want you to make today a portfolio that is working for you. And we will start that and say that's how a nice portfolio looks like. Because we are suffering in Kenya, you find a portfolio should have cash assets, non-cash assets like land, and it should also have cash-generating assets. It should have that. But especially people from my side of the country, what we have is a 99% non-cash generating asset. Everything is in land. Huyo mtu akifukuzwa kazi, munaanza kwenda njaa immediately, because everything is in a non-cash generating asset. Iko kwa mashamba. Ako na zingine alinunua mpaka Shakahola, akanunua shamba huko. How do you even go? Unless you are really going to Shakahola to buy 800 acres, what are you doing there buying an eighth? How do you expect it to ever make money for you or even? And we'll say, okay, are we together? So let's not just run around buying all land. Is our asset looking like that? So we look at, and we look at that portfolio very soon. Tunaendelea pamoja vizuri? Sawa sawa. Cash assets, we keep them, there are things like money market funds. Forex, we've been taught about Forex. We'll also talk about that later. We'll also talk about savings and goals. Is a product we have in Givva, where you're able to create your goal and start putting money there. Okay? So you say, I want to take a trip to Mombasa in December. I'll start putting some money. And that money goes into a money market fund. Our fund manager is Nabo Capital. But we'll talk about that. But savings and goals is like that. Pay yourself first is a product we call Hazina, where we are saying 10%. And that is why I told you, when I came out, I want to serve the mama mbogas and tell them, when you make 100 shillings, put 10 shillings away. Because when that 10 shillings away, in a month is 300 bob. Now you don't have to wait for your husband to get home for you to find food. When you have 300 shillings, you are enabled. You actually can walk with a spring in your step because you have some money. Now, those are some of them, and then cash. But then we'll talk about the characteristics. It needs to be accessible in 24 to 48 hours because this is money you're putting for an emergency fund. You don't want to be that guy who calls everybody because the wife has just, is now, unajua, mama sasa ndio ameenda kupatiwa mtoto na sina kitu. Have you ever gotten a call like that? Hana kitu, he has an emergency that has been waiting to be an emergency for 9 months. And now he expects us to drop everything. You need to have some cash. Because also, when you keep on borrowing and borrowing, what happens? We lose respect for you, naturally, okay? So part of a small portion has to go into an emergency fund. And what do we call an emergency fund in financial services or in financial terms? It's money that will keep you at the same level of life you are living today for 6 months. If you lost your business, came down, your job, you lost it today, can you be able to live in the same house you are living in? Buying your children the same food you're buying for them, including that bacon, so that your child does not wonder, how come sasa siku hizi hatunanga bacon? And then pay school fees for your children in the same school. And if you have loans, you can pay for those loans for a whole 6 months. That's what we call an emergency fund. Are we together? You have to have that. Because it's also not okay. You lose your job today, and tomorrow unaanza kuomba pesa ya food. You lose dignity. So cash is that amount. When it passes that 6 month period, and you see, I said money market fund, so that money is not sitting idle. But that money is there, If I need it, I'll use it. And that is why I said, everybody who wakes up to go to work, you've got no reason not to have an emergency fund. You have to. If you wake up and you go to work, you have to have an emergency fund. Even if, there are times I go, lakini Penina, Shiro, you know me, I only earn 20,000, now 20,000, surely, how you know? Have you read the Nini of Babylon? It's called what, of Babylon? It says, there's somebody who is earning 15,000, and they have a family, and they are not dead. Okay? So you can actually keep some money aside. It's all about expenditure management. You have to manage your expenditure. So you have to have an emergency fund. So that is what that asset class is about. Then we go to the next one where we have cash generating assets. This is where now your cash generating assets, you have fixed income funds. Now fixed income funds, and we'll talk about them later because I'll teach you about the capital markets. Because again, when we don't know about capital markets, we struggle a lot. Fixed income funds are like money market funds, but now they are for a longer time, okay? I'll teach you how they are for a longer time. So fixed income funds, you put in some money there knowing every month it generates for you some money. So a proper cash generating asset is one you know approximately how much is it going to give me after a certain period. You get? It has to, its rental houses are there. These rentals, napatanga 600. That's a cash generating asset. Your job is an asset. Okay? Can you see your job is an asset? It's because I stand here and people complain about their job. It's something that we do all the time. We actually fail to know that is your asset because there's somebody who doesn't have a job. So take care of that job, okay? Your business is a cash generating asset. Treasury bonds, because after every 6 months, they give you an income. So you can actually be able to say, I invested $1 million, after 6 months, I'll receive 60,000. That's a cash generating asset. And why do you need to have a cash generating asset? Paul, go to the next one. They generate cash at regular intervals. That is why SACCOs are not there. Because SACCOs, you can't tell how much you will earn at the end of the year. True? You can get to the end of the year and the officials say, unajua, kulikuwa maandamano, tukafanya nini, alafu Cusco, ikaanguka, you get, and you have nothing, isn't it? Sindio? So, a cash generating asset, and it can be liquidated in the short to mid-term. That's what we call a cash generating asset. It's not, okay? Go to the next one, and it is useful for sometimes even when you have to have, we say cash is king. Because today, supposing the plot next year becomes available, who gets to buy that land? The person who has cash in their pocket. Cash is king. You're able to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming up. Are we together? Okay? Then, it's relatively easier to liquidate. You can try to sell a piece of land for 2 years. You can go hungry. Your wife even leaves you because and you are worth 100 million worth of land. Okay? And she's hungry. She's like, you see, hatuwezi kula nyumba. Sindio? Anaenda because you're not able to. So that is what it helps you do. It also helps you preservation and growth of your capital. So it's not an asset that is sitting idle. It's something that is actually growing. In there, you've seen, Paul, please go back. We have a product we call GPay. And in GPay, in Givva, you put in a lump sum. And if you so want, it sends you your interest on a monthly basis. It's like an annuity. So you put in for a year. If you put in $500,000, or $1 million, it is able to send you money on a monthly basis because it's an investment, and that's what happens with it. So that's what we call GPay, and it's a cash generating asset, okay? And we created it because there are so many people who have a lot of assets and they are not. So if you've lost your job, you've retired, this is something you can use to assist you get more income. Instead of keeping that land, and then now we are fighting because our mother got sick and she needs medicine worth 10,000 shillings every month, and we are always fighting about that as siblings. If I have if I have a million, I'll put it in Givva, and every month it sends 10 million to her. When she gets better, I'll take away my million and buy my piece of land. That's what it does, okay? It helps you meet your cash flow needs, because right now, our salaries have gone down, isn't it? So you have to look at your portfolio and say, so how am I going to meet other needs? Okay? Or are you that person who walked away and said, wao watajipanga huko, and you disappeared from the village, and it's now the villagers who are helping your mother? Okay? So let's go back to non-cash generating assets. So these are where a lot of us are. Land that is not generating any income. It's a non-cash generating asset. SACCO shares, a home, they all don't generate for you any cash. They are not bad assets, okay? Just go to the next one. All of these things are not, they are assets, but they are not cash generating assets. They do not generate cash, but they preserve and grow our capital. That is why they are so important in our portfolios. You understand? They are very important because land is growing every time. The SACCO shares are growing. The shares, if you've bought Safaricom shares, they are growing. So you're building your wealth. You remember our 100 million portfolio? There, it's being grown because of this. They store value, they build your capital, and they secure your liabilities. When you want to take a loan to grow your business now, you can give your land title. That is why we have to have that asset there. Okay? It is very important because that's what it gives us. All right? So, you remember now our portfolio, how it looks like? It has to have those 3 classes of assets. Okay, together? Let's go on. So, at this juncture, is because now we are going to the sweet place where we are going to ask, so now what do we have in our house? But then before we get there, we say we all have, just like, you know that story, we read it, and we are told about how the story of 7 years of abundance and 7 years of famine. Now, all of us here are in our 7 years of abundance. Because I can't see an 8-year-old man here. Those are the ones who are, Paul, just finish. We are in the saving stage. It does not matter. We are at that point. So, you see, when we read that story, we really think the others were foolish, isn't it? The ones who didn't save. But what are you doing with your 7 years of abundance today? What are you doing with it? Because whether you are working, whether you're having a business, you're of good health. Okay? What are you doing with that time? Because you are in your 7 years of abundance. And your 7 years of famine are coming. When I look at my parents, I know they're in their 80s. They are in their 7 years of famine. So if they did not keep what in that Bible story, we are told that there were very specific instructions. Every year, was it a third that was to be kept in the city granaries? Yes? So are you keeping a third in your granaries of what you're earning every day? Because your 7 years of famine are coming. You know, we always imagine that our 7 years of famine is when we lose our job. No. Because every one of those corners that we go through in our life is God leading us to where He wants us to be. So you're in your 7 years of abundance if you don't know. So what are you doing with that 7 years? Are you keeping a third? Or do you come and listen to Pastor Geoffrey and go home happily thinking, na kweli Joseph alikuwa? It's not about Joseph. It's about you. Sawa sawa. Otherwise, what will happen? Paul, go to the next one. At the point of famine, what are we going to have? Please finish that slide. Okay? You will be there saying, you wish you knew. And you know, I have seen this happen so many times. In the financial services industry, they are the highest salaries that you can earn in Kenya. And we tell people about money every day, and we tell people about money. We come and we tell you about money market funds, we tell you about treasury bonds, but very few of us even there. And I can tell you when you go there, salaries head to millions in senior management. But how many of them have I seen? I put it there because I've seen people earn millions of money every month, and come home and sit looking like, and the only thing they want to say is they want to go and buy some land and put some cows, waone kama zitakuwa zikitoa maziwa. That guy has been a CEO of a bank, earning 3-5 million in a month. Okay? And so it doesn't start when you're 50. I can see a lot of youth. It starts now. You've got to make use of your 7 years of abundance. Sawa sawa. And that is where we are today. So if we take nothing else, take that. Because you don't want to be that guy sitting with a flower, because it's a very, very sorry sight. And what happens? We also let our daily lives take control of us. Okay? So you're not thinking about, if I ask any 30-year-old here, they're not thinking about their pension. What they're thinking is about, oh, we have to go to, which holiday is coming? Is it Kenyatta Day? And it's in a long holiday. Tuna save kwenda hiyo. Na pia kuna rhino charge. Na pia kuna nini. Then also there are ladies who are thinking about that handbag. And oh, so-and-so's wife is now driving a Vitz and me, you have never bought me one. And then how are people thinking about me? That's what we are doing. And then life catches up with us. And then you are 60. And then you are retiring. Maybe you even have your own business. But then, still there's a day you have to retire either way. You can't work until you're 90. You still have to retire, and that's what happens. Let's go to the next one. So our actions today determine where we are going to be, okay? We can predict where we are going to be. Please finish that slide. We can predict where we are going to be in future based on our portfolios today. Are we together? Go to the next one. So do you know the size of your portfolio? Now tumekuja mahali mzuri. Kuna mtu anaweza sema today but now I know you don't know how to calculate. So let's go to the next slide. Okay? So I want us to calculate our portfolio today, or I want to teach you how to calculate how much you're worth. And as we do that, I have to say that if you find your worth is 0, don't commit suicide. I am not here to make people commit suicide, okay? I am here so that you say, today I met Shiro and it is my day 0. I did that portfolio, I found I owned 0, but tomorrow I'll have 100 shillings in money market funds, okay? That's how you do it, okay? Well, if you are about 60 and you find you own 0, you may want to reconsider that decision. But anyway, that's on a light note. Let's go. So this is how you calculate. You calculate your asset times the market value. I can see I am running out of time. So I'll take it very fast. So you calculate how many shares do you have, the market value, and the value. You go to your GOATs, calculate how many you have. Please take it very quickly, Paul. And stop there. Furniture, clothes, sufurias, and all the handbags, they earn 0. There's nothing we'll put, there's no value for that. Ancestral land doesn't earn anything. It's not your land, it's your father's land, and it's going to the next generation. You have 0. Cash, you have today, money market as it is today. Motor vehicle, even if you bought it for 5 million, today is worth 1 million, that's what you'll put. And your chama, unless you can recover that money, it's 0. So again, you have to start considering how much money am I putting in my chamas. Okay? So that is how you calculate your portfolio. And so, finish that slide. And then after that, now we are able to go and say, Shiro said these are the cash generating assets. So you put them and see, I have a lot of land. Is that where? How is my portfolio looking like? Paul, please go to the next one. So as we said, chamas, furniture, ancestral land, that is 0 in your portfolio. We are not including it. Go to the next one. How well diversified is it? Please finish it. So it has to be very well diversified. Please go to the next one. The risk, you have to look at the risk of your portfolio, okay? And your risk also is determined by your age. When you are young, you can have an aggressive risk portfolio. You can put in the risky assets. But as you grow older, you reduce your risk. And we'll look at the risk portfolios. Please, Paul, go to the next one. The risk portfolio. Our good friend taught us about, and you remember he kept on telling us many things. Please be very on the lookout. Please do not do this. It's a risky asset. It falls there. Let's go to the next one. So that's our assignment. Please make sure that you know who you are today. Do your asset portfolio. You have to do it. And another thing, ladies, you don't put an asset that's not in your name. Hiyo sio yako. Okay? Hiyo sio yako. Yako ni ile iko kwa jina yako. Because if it was to be sold, it's not yours. So again, as you're doing it, so very quickly, if I may ask for your indulgence, to just go through these very few slides about capital markets. Please, capital markets, because we don't know where money comes from, and that's why we are falling into the nini of pyramid schemes. Every country has a capital market. And a capital market means a market is a market like any other. It's kama soko. Tukienda soko tunapatanga kuna nyanya, kuna carrot, kuna nini, na kuna wenye wanauza, na kuna wengine wananunua. Si ndio sisi tunaenda kununua? You are a buyer. So in the capital markets you will find there are suppliers of capital and there are buyers of capital. And that is how interest income is generated. What happens? One of the biggest players is a bank. So when you go to the bank and I'm going to borrow 100,000, they'll tell me, Shiro will give you this money at 18%. They are selling me 100,000 at 18%. So if I return it at the end of the year, I'll have to return it 100,000 plus 18,000. I've bought money. Then you've put your money in the bank. That's the money I'm being sold. You've sold to the bank at zero. Okay? Because you went and just put your money there as a community, as individuals. But the fund managers now, they sell the money to the bank. So that is how money is made in the capital markets, okay? So there are people who are giving the bank money at a rate. Then there are those ones who are buying money from the bank. Let's go to the next one. This one is the next one, because I want to teach you this because we've been conned a lot, okay? We've been conned a lot. But I want to tell you that the capital market is so regulated. And I know my friend there of cryptocurrency, this is why he said he can't teach finance professionals about cryptocurrency. Because we know every person who ever stands here, Pastor Geoffrey, and talks about money, ask them, who has licensed you? Because when you do not have a license, you do not have someone to fall back on. There is banks, they are regulated by CBK, SACCOs by SASRA, RBA regulates pension funds. We have CMA regulating investors. And what happens when you have a complaint, even insurance companies, you can go to IRA and say, I paid my premium, but I wasn't paid. If a bank is misbehaving, you can go to CBK. If an investor like Givva is misbehaving, you can go to CMA, and we are sanctioned. Okay? So every time somebody stands here, and that is where I teach people, and though I have not finished, I will end there because my time is over. But I wanted to get that slide and say, every person who ever comes and stands here, ask, who is your regulator? Not because when you don't have a regulator, they won't go down. But at least you stand a better chance than when you don't have a regulator, okay? So, and even go to CMA, go to the CMA website and check that Givva, is it there? Because each regulator has the regulated entities. So tunafukuza ujinga. Because we have been cheated, our money has gotten lost, all that is going on, but we never do our due diligence. Okay? So from today, please do your due diligence, find out, because everybody, every player in the money market fund, in the financial markets, is regulated. I have not finished, but I know I'll get another invite to come, and thank you so much. I want to end my session with a prayer. I had hoped to finish, to start with a prayer, but I got carried away, so let's pray. Father, this evening, this afternoon, dear Lord, we want to thank you so much for giving us time together. We are grateful for the opportunity to learn. And Father, whatever we have learned, we ask you that you bless it, and may we be able to apply it. As Shiro, Father, I tell you, thank you for giving us this audience, and even giving us an opportunity to give them what knowledge that we have, dear Lord. We pray that it may be able to help them. We pray all this trusting and believing. Amen.
Check.